7 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few batters falling this week down the rankings. The first guy's Tommy Pham of the San Diego Padres. So Pham, they got him pretty much for nothing a couple seasons ago at the MLB trade deadline from the Tampa Bay Rays. But so far this season, it's been a struggle for Pham. On the season, he's ranked 638 in fantasy baseball, 1 home run, 10 RBIs, 12 runs scored, an awful 195 batting average, and a 333 on base percentage, which is still a great on base percentage considering he's hitting 195 on the season here. And the last couple weeks for Pham, it's pretty much more of the same. 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 8 runs scored, a 219 batting average, and a 405 on base. So right here, he's down in the dumps, especially with batting average. The power numbers just haven't been there. And this season, he's already had 113 at-bats, so he's playing at least 4 or 5 days a week here for the San Diego Padre team. But even every day now, with injuries and stuff like that, so the last few games for Pham, May 17th versus the Rockies 0 for 4. May 18th versus the Rockies 0 for 3 with a run. May 19th versus the Rockies 0 for 1. And then last night versus Seattle, the Padres won that ball game 16-1, bombing Chris Flexen 2 for 3. He was a run, 2 RBIs, a stolen base. So right here, maybe Pham could get things going. But it's been just a horrible season for him. And right now, he's definitely a hitter falling down the rankings. The next hit is Tywin Aquin of the Cincinnati Reds. And Aquin, he was a fantasy surprise in the early going this season, coming from the Cleveland Indians here, going to Cincinnati. And I spoke about him signing with Cincinnati in the offseason, and I didn't think much of it, but Aquin so far, 10 home runs this season, 30 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 18 runs scored for Aquin in this time. And on the season, he's ranked 87 with a 256 batting average as well and a 338 on base. But the last few weeks, he's definitely gotten into a slump and not getting things going at all as Aquin. So in the last couple weeks here, he's ranked 188 in the time, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, a stolen base, a 250 batting average, and a 333 on base percentage. And Aquin early in the season, he was raking. He got off to a hot start. In the first 3 or 4 weeks, I believe, he was leading the major leagues in home runs, and that batting average was way over 300. So his numbers have definitely dipped over the last couple months here, is Aquin. After the first month, he was going off for this Cincinnati Red team. So the last few games for him, May 17th versus San Francisco, 2 for 4 with a homer. May 18th versus San Francisco, 1 for 3. May 19th, he pinched hit in that one versus Frisco, 0 for 1. May 20th, 0 for 4 versus San Francisco. And last night versus Milwaukee, it was good to see him hit a 3-run homer, go 1 for 4. But many managers have dropped him over the last few weeks, where his percentage, I believe, got up all the way to 70-80%. And right now, he's owned in 64% of fantasy leagues. And he's been falling down the rankings of the last few weeks. But now with the home run last night, maybe he could get things going and get back to the good play he was doing before he got into a slump. The next is Gavin of the Toronto Blue Jays. So Biggio, he was a high draft pick in most fantasy leagues this season. I saw him in some drafts go 3rd to 5th round range. And I know he qualifies at 2nd, 3rd in outfield, which is great for fantasy owners. And so far this season, 26 of 127, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, a 205 batting average, 14 runs scored, and a 315 on base. And he's ranked 966 in fantasy baseball. And the last couple weeks for him haven't been as good either. 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 5 runs scored, and 194 batting average, and a 326 on base. So Biggio, it's been a huge struggle for Hall of Famer Craig Biggio's son here. And the last few games for Biggio, May 18th versus Boston, 1 for 5. May 19th versus Boston, 0 for 4. May 20th versus Boston, 1 for 5 with an RBI. Yesterday, he left the game with a little bit of a neck injury, and he went 0 for 1 versus Tampa Bay. So Biggio, he's banged up now. He's not producing for fantasy owners, and he's falling down the rankings. Hopefully he could get things going in the next couple weeks here, but right now it's just not looking good here for Biggio. And it wouldn't surprise me to see the Jays send him down to the minor leagues for a little to work on some things if he really struggles even more here. The next hitter is Murrayfield the Kansas City Royals. So Murrayfield, surprisingly, he's been struggling the last few weeks here. And Murrayfield on the season, he's ranked 32 in fantasy baseball, 41 of 164, 4 home runs, 24 RBIs, 12 stolen bases where his value really is, and 26 runs scored. So right here, he's definitely up there in stolen bases. And he's also got a 250 average, which isn't like him, and a 319 on base. And over the last couple weeks, his ranking's 306 in the time. No home runs, 3 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 214 batting average, and a 306 on base. So those numbers are unlike Murrayfield. And right here, this Royal team early in the season, they were playing good baseball. But right here, they've been struggling just a bit here the last few games. And right here, the last few games for Murrayfield, May 16th at Chicago White Sox, 1 for 4 with an RBI. May 18th versus Milwaukee, 0 for 3. May 19th versus Milwaukee, 0 for 4. And May 21st versus Detroit yesterday, 1 for 4 with a run. So right here, his last multiple hit game was May 15th, and before that, it wasn't till May 9th. So right here, it's been a struggle for Murrayfield. He's only getting about a hit a game, if that, some days. And right here, I think he'll turn it around, but his ranking's definitely fallen. And the only thing that's saving fantasy owners who took Murrayfield early is his value with stolen bases, with 12 so far this season. And the fifth and final hitter falling down the rankings is Kyle Seager of the Seattle Mariners. So Seager, he's been a tricky fantasy player the last couple seasons here for this Mariner team. But he's already got 9 home runs this season, which is pretty solid. 37 of 164, 9 home runs, 30 RBIs, but the poor 226 batting average and the 299 on base percentage. But over the last couple weeks, his ranking has dropped to 588 in the time for Seager. 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 6 runs scored, but only a 200 batting average and a 319 on base percentage. So Seager, at this point in his career, he's a very low batting average guy who's still going to have good power numbers, but also strike out a decent amount of times as well. And a lot of hitters, they're just transforming into those type of hitters, it seems like nowadays. High strikeouts, but they could put the ball over the fence here. And this is why we're seeing a lot of no-hitters, with a lot of hitters coming up with that approach. So the last few games here for Seager, May 17th at Detroit, 0 for 3. May 18th versus Detroit, 0 for 3. May 19th versus Detroit, 1 for 4 with a homer, 2 RBIs, but 3 strikeouts. And May 21st, yesterday at San Diego, 1 for 3 with an RBI. So right here, the batting average is getting lower. The home runs is a great solid number, no doubt about it, at 9 right now. But right here, a lot of teams, they're just going to pitch Seager carefully, because he's only one of the good bats in that Seattle lineup with not much protection. And right now, he's falling down the rankings. That's a few hitters falling down the rankings here in Week 7 of the fantasy baseball season.